Welcome to Learn to Live Stress-Free. This is Christine Wright with Dr. Robert Wright Jr. of www.stressfreenow.info.
Hi, this is Dr. Bob, the Stress and Pain Relief Doctor, coming to you today from the home of Harriet Tubman. And unfortunately, our home and the other outer buildings are closed. I read on the website that the property is under renovation, and so that means I'll have to make another trip here now that I know where it is. And so I want to encourage you to come here, but also to look at your own life and see what courageous act can you do to improve the situation in our country that black people face. So they have signs up for Harriet Tubman celebrating the 200-year anniversary. I'm just going to pan to the sign here, and as you can see, they are calling her the Moses of her people. And so she was Moses-like, but the point is there were many other people who did courageous things like Harriet Tubman, like John Brown, and there were many other people, including the black sailors who did quite a bit to help and free enslaved people. And so I keep emphasizing this fact, the fact that we were never slaves. We were enslaved by barbaric individuals and corporations, going all the way back to the East India Company. And as you dig through that history, it's a very painful history. There was enslavement in the Caribbean, enslavement in South America, enslavement in Central America, and enslavement in the United States. Also, I was recently took a cruise through the Panama Canal both ways, and one of the things I was struck about is when they were giving the narrative on the first cruise, they were talking about the engineering wonder that the Panama Canal is, which it is. But there was no mention of the fact that thousands of people died building that canal. Also, there was no mention of the fact that Panama used to be part of Colombia, just like Texas used to be part of Mexico. And so the thing is, we need to do our own research and not rely on second and third and fourth hand sources. That's one of the benefits of traveling, that you can actually go to libraries and archives and actually look at the information for yourself. So you can look at the ship logs from the different ships. You can see the papers from the East India Company, etc. And so when you look at that, you go, oh my gosh, we've just been told so many lies about American history, like George Washington never told a lie or chopped down a cherry tree or whatever that myth is. There's so many myths. And then you take a guy like Benjamin Franklin, oh my God, he was ambassador to France and did so many horrible things. And there's so many people in American history that in the official history held up as heroes, like General Amherst, which Amherst College is named after. He's the guy responsible for tricking the Native Americans into signing the treaty and gave them blankets filled with smallpox. And so it's a sad history when you start looking at the real history, not the glossed over history. And so coming here today, I also want to give honor to my now deceased brother Quincy, who is a master teacher and pastor. and he talked often about, I want to bring my students up to Harriet Tubman so they can actually see, whenever they're getting down or whatever they're facing in their day, and say, hey, look what she did, and look what she was dealing with. And so what I would say to you in terms of, instead of getting down, to use that as motivation so that when you get tired, that it puts extra premium gas in your tank, because you go, hey, look what ancestors were dealing with, and so whatever I'm dealing with is nothing compared to the things that they had to deal with on an hourly basis. And so we have a lot of progress that we still have to make. Unfortunately, there are still many embedded systems, all actually worldwide, that work to keep black people down. And so we don't have to be sad, but we have to be smart. And so part of being smart is to get the facts. And just so you know, there's no such thing as an alternate fact. It's either a fact or it's not. It's just like it's not possible to be half pregnant. You're either pregnant or you're not. And so getting the facts, this is why if you look at the last 45 years with the culture wars, that the main aspect has been to dumb down the average American. And this is black, white, green, yellow, whatever. So that when people are dumbed down or numbed out, I mean, look at the epidemic of addiction in our society. I always say, prevention is the best course, like Nancy Reagan would say, just say no. But people say, oh, Bob, you don't understand the culture. What I understand is that once you get addicted, no matter what it is, it's hard to get unaddicted. Not getting addicted is the best policy. And so what I don't hear for the most part in the media talking about when they talk about addiction is, why are so many Americans doing all these drugs, right? Nobody's talking about that. So again, that is beyond the scope of what I do. The issue is for you to think about that. Why are so many people numbing themselves out? We know that people are stressed out, people have high levels of anxiety, etc. But what we're talking about is causation. And that's part of the issue in our society. Our society doesn't we like to deal with symptoms, right? We want fast relief, but we don't want to deal with causes. And so until we deal with underlying causes, we're going to keep having those issues. And so, people just keep putting band-aids on situations. People sometimes who don't understand, they say, Dr. Bob, you jump around a lot, and it doesn't seem like what you're talking about is related to what you're talking about. And that is because their mind needs to be expanded. So, for example, take the issue of homelessness. I have been horrified as I travel around the United States. I was in San Diego. There were people, brand new office buildings, brand new condos, people sitting in beer gardens and then drinking beer, and then right in front of their brand new condo, there were people lying on the ground. I'm not talking about people in tents. I'm talking about people lying on the ground. And as I walked to the library, when I got off the trolley in San Diego, people were lying in the crosswalk. Now, I've never seen that. So when I mentioned that to a couple of gentlemen I met on the cruise in the airport, they said, oh no, this was nothing in San Diego. You should come to Seattle. We have 14,000 certified homeless. So the thing is, an average person may not see the connection between addiction, homelessness, poverty, the dumbing down of society. And I just read last week a very horrible thing. The school superintendent in the state of Texas closing all libraries in the school and taking out the books. And when I saw that, I said, I said, I wonder what would happen if he tried to do that in the top prep schools in the United States, to close all the libraries so the kids can't read. Because that's what they want. They want you to be stupid, right? And when you're stupid, they can do whatever they want to. So I want to encourage you to not just get your education, but also look at what's going on. Like Marvin Gaye sang, you know, I listened to that song several weeks ago, and he sang, you know, he made this song in the 1970s, you know, what's going on and mercy, mercy me. And I was just thinking, my goodness, this is 50 plus years later, and we have the same issues, if not worse. Okay? So, yeah, you've got technology, you've got that smartphone, and then I'll close on this note. So, since the beginning of February, I've been traveling without a phone because my 3 different smartphones got hacked professionally. And here's what I mean. I'm traveling. I went to Istanbul and Egypt, did a Nile cruise, very nice. When I came back, I called my brother, I was in New York, and he said, Bob, what's wrong with your phone? And I said, what do you mean? He says, well, you're telling me you're in New York, but it says Bob from Cairo. Well, I was in Cairo, but I wasn't calling from Cairo, so boom, I had to get rid of that phone. Next, my password for my phone was changed without my permission remotely. So that meant I lost access to all my texts, contacts, etc. Because the only thing that the manufacturer of the phone offered was to do a factory reset. And even a 5th grader knows if you do a factory reset, it wipes out everything on the phone. And then the third thing, I came back from, I was in Punta Cana, and I was very happy. I was using Verizon. I was paying $10 a day so I could call internationally, check my email. When I got back to the United States, guess what? My phone wouldn't work. This is a 3rd phone, different phone number. And what Verizon told me, your SIM card has been corrupted. You need a new SIM card. We'll send it to you in 24 hours. Well, the SIM card didn't arrive for 3 weeks. And when it came, I decided enough. And so, why am I talking about it? I'm talking about it because the #1 addictive force worldwide right now is that smartphone. It's smarter than you. It's an example of the tail wagging the dog. The smartphone is a tool, and it could be a very helpful tool, just like TV. TV has the potential to be an incredible device that will help people. But guess what? It's based on an ad-based model. So it's not the shows on TV are just filler for the ads. And so not to go on a rant, but the point is this. A SUNY Stony Brook study 2017 showed back then 47% of people were falling asleep with their phone. That's prior to the pandemic. Now, why does that matter? Well, the blue wavelength light emitted by the phone interrupts your circadian rhythm because it delays the onset of melatonin release. So most people have heard of melatonin. So, but also the consequence of that is that even when you do fall asleep, it lessens the capacity for your nervous system and brain to enter stages 4 and 5 of sleep, which is restorative sleep, where growth factor hormone is released, and so that when you would wake up, you would feel rested and restored. So if you never entered those levels of sleep, then you just won't feel refreshed. And so what does that have to do with what I'm talking about? What I'm talking about is a global issue, which is they're trying to dumb us down so that we're all easier to control and we can be herded by like sheep. So I'm going to close on this. Ask yourself, are you a sheep looking to be herded willingly? And then what happens to the sheep? They share off their wool. And so the algorithms, right? Think about it. Controlling what you see on your phone, whether any kind of feed. In fact, last time I got a message that says, you are not looking at news from your feed. I never look at my news from my feed because that's what they want me to see. I click on what I want to see. And so I'm saying to you, just like Harriet Tubman, she pulled people out of a horrible situation. And so I want you to consider using your brain and pulling back. And so one of the things I notice about the young people is that they no longer believe and are buying into many of the things that the older generations automatically did, because they are much more aware of the amount of disinformation and lying that is going on. I've been startled. They're very smart. And they're like, well, this came on my phone, but I don't believe it just because it's on the phone. Interesting. So this is Dr. Bob signing off from Auburn, New York, hoping that you are able to take a vacation, because remember, traveling is an experiential form of learning. And whenever you take a trip and you come back, you're never the same. The people you interact with, in fact, this morning when I checked out of my hotel in Rochester, I was startled. The people at the front desk, you know what they said? They said, thank you so much for the interactions that you had with us. You've changed us. This is like 3 or 4 people. I was startled. This is like 3 or 4 people said that the interactions that I had with them, and I had such a good time at this hotel that I ended up staying an extra day. And so what I'm saying to you, you have the ability to increase the locus of control in your day. And when you do that, your stress and anxiety automatically goes down. And so this is Dr. Bob from stressfreenow.info signing off from Auburn, New York, wishing you well. And if you like what you hear and see during our Stress Free Now podcast series, please subscribe and share and give us a 5-star rating and review. Until next time, from stressfreenow.info, be safe and be well.